I would like to get an approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I got Coleman with the first and Donalong with the second. With that being said, I got Pastor Joy Glancer here to do the invocation.
We got to vote on the. We got to vote on that. You got to vote on that.
Huh?
You got to vote on that. Approve.
All that signify by saying aye. If you approve, all the ayes have it.
Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we're grateful this evening as we gather in this chamber that we live in a community that is truly touched by your divine grace. Yesterday, our community came together to dedicate a memorial to our sons and daughters, fathers and mothers who have served our country. Some made the ultimate sacrifice. We were reminded of the brave soldiers whose shoulders we stand on, and tonight we are witness to the fruit of their sacrifice. Freedom to agree and disagree without fear. Freedom to come and go without shackles. Freedom to worship however our heart tells us. So, Father, we pray that your wisdom and fairness permeates every decision made here tonight, and that the people of our town continue to serve the poor, shelter the homeless, and feed the hungry. For we don't stand alone, we must stand together. We ask for your guidance and protection, and it's in thy precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Mark Clark.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah.
All right. This may be the fastest meeting we're going to have. So we're going to start. We're going to start with a proclamation declaring May 25th a Building Safety Month in Newberry. It's going to be presented to David Meyer, the building official. So if you could come up. Whereas the city of Newberry is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential roles our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disaster strikes. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire preventions, officials, architects, engineers, buildings, trade people, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality code and standards to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern buildings, codes, and standard includes, safeguard to protect the public for hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, flood, earthquakes, and whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role for the communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Game On, the theme for Building Safe Month 2025 encourages us all to get involved and raise awareness about building safety on our personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local, state, tribal, territorial, and federal buildings, safety and fire prevention departments, and protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by virtue of the authority vested in me as Chair Pro Temp Tony of Newberry, Florida, I do hereby declare that May will be proclaimed as Building Safety Month, and witness whereof I have here to set my hand and cause the great seal of the city of Newberry, Florida, to be afflicted onto this 27th day of May in the year 2025. God, come on. This is my first one here. Yes. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, I'll sign that.
In public, my name is David Meyer. I'm the building official for your community. As you know, the building department's been completely replaced since February because of issues before I got here. I would just like to recognize my staff. They're not here tonight, but Tony Carpenter passed his first ICC building exam test this past week, and I'm very proud of him for that. Ashley and Michael do a fantastic job as the permit techs, and I was asked to put a little bit of a program together just to let you know what we're doing. And if you don't want me to do it, that's fine with me, because I'll be more than happy to go to the house. And thank you for reading that, because in the past I've had to read that, and it's greatly appreciated. And if y'all got any questions for me, please don't hesitate to ask, because I'll ask the best I can. So year to date, since I've gotten here, we've definitely made a commitment for this public safety and sustainability, efficient service of delivery, accurate guidance and support, friendly customer service, and community engagement. I'm very strong in working with our builders. Several have made a comment to me that it's quite a change from what they were used to before I got here, and I appreciate that. It doesn't hurt that I've known a lot of them for years, because I've been around here for 30 years, so they know me. In the first quarter, the department has added real-time inspector results because we've started utilizing tablets in the field. So when we get in our truck, we put our results in the tablets, and immediately they get an email giving them the results, whether they passed or failed or whatever. They've added the business tax receipts to our department to take care of. We've improved turnaround times for plans, and we've reduced them to 2 weeks when I first got here, and right now we're at 2 days for plan reviews. That's about unheard of in a building department, but because I've got good staff, it's happening. Without Tony helping with these inspections, it would never happen. Also, Michael and Ashley collected $82,310 on outstanding permit fees that we wrote, and that's a pretty good achievement. This is permits that were issued, and this isn't up to date, so I'm going to give you a total at the end. But for single-family residents for January, February, March, and then in April, it only has 6 because it was only through the 10th when this was put together, but I've got some numbers I'll give you at the end. And roofing permits and remodel permits and all that, you can see it right there. There's your mechanical. We had 19, electrical 16, plumbing 10. Of course, that doesn't count all the water heaters and air conditioners installed without permits that we never inspect, but you know. And then they sell their house and say, hey, can I get a permit? Accessory structures, we had 8. Mobile homes, we only had 1. Pools, 8. Residential demolition, we had 2. And solar, we had 3. Which that kind of surprises me. I thought we'd have more solar, but we didn't. Where I'm come from, we had a lot more solar we were dealing with. So by the month for our total permits in January, 46, February 72, March 53, and all of April we had 63. So for the first quarter we issued 234 permits. And if you...
David, what would be the total just for new construction? You said April was just 6, and you...
Well, no, total 63 for April.
On,
That was not just houses, that was total.
yeah, I was wondering on the single-family construction, 6 is here, what would you think the total is? Averaging out at 16 to 23?
Yes, sir, because it's D.R. Horton and
I was putting
all,
15 in there.
I would say that's real close, I'll be honest with you, I didn't ask them to break it out, I apologize. Right. It's, I know what's happening is the different builders are coming in and getting like groups of anywhere from 5 to 8 at a time.
I'm sorry. But that would still give us, I mean, that's a pretty good average
Oh, yeah.
for the quarter on new construction. I'm just looking for what we may get through the year.
So if it continues on, last year we did a total of 744 permits for the whole year.
Okay?
And if it doesn't slow down, we're looking at about 780 permits for this year total. Of
Okay.
course, a lot of them are re-roofs and stuff like that, air conditioner change-outs and
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
From what I understand, I don't know what I did.
It don't matter. You're doing a great job, sir.
Y'all don't know me yet, so. One thing I would like to point out is our inspections. We got an average passing rate of 83%. So,
That's good.
and the thing that we're having a problem with is track builders have a tendency to stick to their schedule no matter what. So I'm going to call in a rough-in plumbing on Thursday. You better have it ready. Well, they don't go check it Wednesday night. It's not ready, so they call it in, so we end up turning them down. And they just pass the reinspection fee onto their subcontractor. Say, well, you knew I was going to call it in. And I hate that comment. It makes me mad, but that's another. You should have kept it. I don't know where I'm at.
You're just talking about rate.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you'll
right
find
there.
out the longer you're here, how much I just love track builders.
I was a builder, but not a track builder. So some of the things that we're trying to do to make our online presence better for our community is we're making a link on our website for frequently asked questions, because that can answer a lot of questions that doesn't happen. They're working on how-to with smart glove training for both the public and the city staff. They already created a sign-in system at the kiosks in our office so that when anybody walks in, they can go to the computer right there, and our staff will walk them right through the whole permitting process. And most communities don't do that, which I think is a huge step forward. And one of the things I'd like to do is schedule some community education workshops just to educate the changes that are occurring in our Florida building code and everything else. I mean, every 3 years, we have changes in our Florida building code. And sometimes it takes the builders a couple months to catch up with the changes. So unfortunately, the inspectors don't have that prerogative to wait 3 months to catch up on them. Yep, so that's all I got, unless y'all got some questions for me.
I don't see sheds on that list, man.
He had to bring that up, didn't he? Educate him on the sheds.
Somebody needing a shed?
That's a
Thank
sore
you,
subject with me. Do you want to turn that shed into a small house while you're at it? Tiny house?
Hey. All right, well, thank you, David. I appreciate it. That was a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to have our wonderful fire department come up. We're going to have recognition of these guys, and that's going to be done by Jason Lyman. Fire
I can
off.
figure this thing out.
That was a good joke. Fire off. Okay. You like that? Fire off? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem,
Thank you.
and Commissioners. Tonight, it is my privilege to introduce and recognize several key promotions within the Newberry Fire Department. Promotions in our department are rare and meaningful. The last round of promotions was in August of 2023, but before that, it was in April of 2015. As we look ahead to the next few years, we expect to see several of our seasoned firefighters achieve retirement, making way for a new generation of leaders. Having firefighters spend an entire career in a smaller system rather than moving on to a larger neighbor is a testament to the city's leadership and support for our responders, and it's really something to be proud of. These promotions mark not only professional milestones, but also a deepened commitment to the mission of public safety and community service. We will begin with the position of driver operator, a role that requires technical precision and a strong situational awareness. This firefighter is responsible for navigating our roads, safely transporting our crews, operating the truck's pump, and ensuring all equipment is ready and functioning at every emergency. Next is the rank of lieutenant, who serves as the shift supervisor and the one who leads the crew on calls. He manages the daily activities and often assumes initial command on emergency scenes. This role is critical to the department's operational readiness and safety. We then move on to the deputy fire chief, who provides leadership across all shifts, oversees training, assists in the budgeting process, plays a major role in emergency scene management, in emergency scene command, and the overall management of our department. Each of the individuals we are recognizing tonight has demonstrated not only the requisite skills, but also the integrity, professionalism, and teamwork that define the culture of our department. As I introduce each of them tonight, I invite you to join me in recognizing their service, their dedication, and their well-earned advancement in rank. Our first promotion is driver operator David Voigt. David joined the Newberry Fire Department on January 23rd of 2023, bringing with him 5 years of valuable experience from Alachua County Fire Rescue, where he began his fire service career in 2018. He will be assuming the driver operator position on A shift. In addition to being one of our 3 certified CPR instructors, he is one of our 5 certified paramedics on staff. David grew up in Venice, Florida, and moved to Gainesville in 2018 to attend Santa Fe College, where he earned a bachelor's degree in public safety management. In addition to his fire service role, David is an EMT and paramedic instructor for Santa Fe College. He and his wife of 5 years, Megan, enjoy traveling and frequent visits to Disney in their off time. David brings not only technical skills, but a steady demeanor and instructional leadership that are already benefiting our team.
All right.
Present that to you. Congratulations. Thank you. Second. Next, we are proud to promote Michael Malsom to lieutenant, where he will serve as the supervisor for C shift. Lieutenant Malsom started his fire service journey back in 2000 as a volunteer with Bell Fire Department shortly after moving to Gilchrist County. He was hired by Newberry Fire Department in September of 2003. He was promoted to driver operator in April of 2015 and now has earned his position as a company officer. Mike grew up in Naples, Florida, and began his professional life in the electrical industry. He and his wife, Anna, have been married for 13 years and are raising 2 boys, Noah and Taddy. As a family, they enjoy outdoor adventures like camping and trail riding on motorcycles. Mike's dedication to the department and his enthusiasm for mentoring others has cemented his position as a vital part of our leadership team.
Nice.
Finally, it's an honor to recognize Kevin Farr, who's been promoted to Deputy Fire Chief. Chief Farr began his service with the Newberry Fire Department on October 1st of 1997. Over the years, he has advanced through the ranks, promoting to driver operator in 2000, lieutenant in October of 2003, and senior lieutenant in April of 2015. Kevin is a true son of Newberry and is deeply rooted in this community. He's a proud graduate of Newberry High, class of 1996. He and his wife, Becky, have been married for 24 years, and they are raising 2 young adults, Lance and Madeline. Together, in addition to his full-time duties at the fire department, they run a family farm right here in town. Chief Farr brings not just experience, but wisdom and heart to his leadership. He is committed to shaping the future of our department and mentoring the next generation of firefighters and leaders. Even though I've only known Kevin for a few short months, I have already developed a tremendous respect for his integrity and devotion to this community. I honestly cannot imagine being in this position without Chief Farr as a partner.
Nice.
Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to celebrate these achievements.
Thank you. Lyman, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just want to take a moment to congratulate these 3 gentlemen on their well-earned promotions. Also to congratulate Chief Lyman on his promotion to Fire Chief. Congratulations.
Macho Man. Sorry, guys.
It's all right, man.
You wanna know?
Everyone with $100 regulars on it. Oh, I know. I'm telling you, that man right there. Congratulations.
I know they're on their way out, but I do want to say, I have the privilege of knowing all that information and actually seeing even Lyman at least once, twice, 3 times a week. So phenomenal guys. So I have that privilege over most because I deliver my other job that I do, and well deserved. Well deserved.
He knows a little brown truck rolls.
It's not little. Anyways. All right, so here we go. Public announcement. So this is where your commission likes to hear.
Number 3.
Sorry, my bad. I have more glasses, but I still can't see. Wakasasa Watershed Flood Risk Review Meeting. Mary Diaz, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Mary Diaz. I am a professional engineer at Suwannee River Water Management District, and I'm here to invite you to a meeting on July 1st in Bronson that will go over the changes to the flood zone in the Wakasasa watershed. Before I begin, I want to take this opportunity for outreach to remind you of an upcoming BMAP milestone. So I'm going to read the DEP statement. You bear with me for this. Responsible entities must submit a sufficient list of additional projects and management strategies to DEP by January 14, 2026 to be compliant with the upcoming BMAP milestone or be subject to further department enforcement. If any lead entity is unable to submit a sufficient project list, then specific project identification efforts must be submitted by January 14, 2026. These responsible entities must submit project identification efforts whose purpose and timeline will provide projects to meet the 5-year milestone. These efforts create a compliance schedule that must reflect the urgency of defining, funding, and implementing projects to meet the upcoming and future milestones. These planning efforts are ineligible for BMAP credit themselves, but are necessary to demonstrate that additional eligible management actions will be forthcoming and the BMAP compliance will be achieved. So in short, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection has a deadline of January 14, 2026 to submit basin management action plan projects. So let's go on to the agenda item. So this is the Wakasasa watershed. Newberry is within it. I don't know if there's a pointer, but up there, north of the watershed. And there will be changes in the cities of Newberry and the Alachua County, Gilchrist County, and Levy County areas. This is a project timeline. We started in July 2021, where we came to the cities and counties and we asked for input on where to focus the effort of these remapping. And so this is where you'll see the fruits of that conversation. The meeting was scheduled in April of 2025, and we've had to pause our CTP work with FEMA, and so we were starting back up again, and that's why it's been pushed to July 1st. The new changes, except in the red areas, those are the only areas that were recently done, and so we're not restudying them, but everything else within the watershed is will be superseded. And the changes are in all of the flood zones, the zone A, X, and X shaded, and I'll get into details on what those are. These are some of the changes, an example of what the changes look like, or will look like. And so then the change is right next door. So the A zone is that 1% chance or 100-year, what was called before. The X is that flood that is less than a foot. And the gray is the 0.2% and was also called the 500-year. This is another example of what the change will look like. So the importance of this meeting is a flood risk review meeting. So we'll have a meeting at 2 p.m. with county officials and city officials, but then a public meeting at 5 p.m. At a flood risk review, you can provide comments just based on your knowledge on what you've seen. We'll take any comments. when the maps go preliminary, which is the next step after the flood risk review, the only way you can comment on these maps is with engineering backup. So really, this is the best moment to say, oh, I've lived there 40 years and that flood zone shouldn't look like that, or I don't agree with that, or you missed a culvert over here because that flood zone should connect across the road. This is the moment to provide those comments on, or you could say, hey, you missed this spot because this always floods. And so we did this effort a couple years ago in the Santa Fe, and we got over 1,000 comments, and we realized that some of the assumptions on the soils we had made weren't right, and we had to go back and change the map. So it really is important to receive, because we do it with the best available data. And that, for the Santa Fe case, it would turn out to be the public that had the best available data. So those are the things that it's so important to get this opportunity to provide the comments during this flood risk review meeting. I've got the noted here. These are the results of the study, but by buildings. So in the city of Newberry, there are 2 buildings, residences that are going from low to high risk. And what that means is that they'll need flood insurance. There's 8 that are going from low to moderate, and there's 62 that are seeing no change. Now, one thing that's important to note is that you might see a low number on there of buildings, but there are large changes along the county. There's 2,840 properties in Alachua County that are seeing a change. So even though you might think, oh, I might be safe, please go look at the maps. I have the link to the map if you want to see the other county, that's Levy and Gilchrist. In this website, we have the map. So you can go into it now and see the changes that are on the property, or on all the properties. There's all other information on this virtual tour. It's sort of like a virtual conference room, so there's all these booths, and you can move around and go and check out each booth. We have all kinds of information there, but the most important one is the presentation. So if you cannot make it to the meeting, then you can still go into this presentation, and I would encourage you to go through the PowerPoints, because it explains to you how to leave a comment on the map. And so you can then access the map from that PowerPoint, and you can zoom into your area or put your address in and find out what the change is. At the flood risk review meeting, you'll have district staff available to go one-on-one with their laptops, and they'll show you what the changes are for each property that you want to look at and what it means. So it is a good opportunity to go and get that one-on-one help. But we're also available if you call us or you show up to the district, then we can also do that. So the meeting again is July 1st. That we first have at 2 p.m. with local community officials, and then at 5 p.m. with the public. And so thank you for providing this opportunity. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Diaz. Appreciate that. Nice presentation.
Thank you. I do have some handouts with a QR code for that website if you want them. Yes? Yeah,
Leave them
okay.
at the table by there.
Okay.
Yep, on the way out. That way the public can grab some if they need them.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Very nice. So this is the time right now, public announcements. That way, if the public have community events or activities, if you have any questions on any agenda items that we're talking about tonight, we do have time reserved at the end of the meeting to give you more time. Anybody? Any announcements? Tea parties? No? All right. With that, I'm going to ask for a motion of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
I got a first by Mark Clark, a second by Donald Long. Any questions on the consent agenda? All right. All that are in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously with the ayes. All right. So now we're going to move over to fireworks ordinances. We're going to have the attorney read ordinance by title.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, this is ordinance number 2025-08, LDR 25-02, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending portions of Chapter 38, Article 1 and 3 of the City of Newberry Code of Ordinances as amended by amending Sections 38-7 fireworks and Section 38-97 rate and fee schedule, providing for severability, repealer, codification, and an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2025-08, LDR 25-02, upon its reading by title only.
All right, thank you very much. Stacy, take it away.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Hectus, and I'm here with Chief Lyman also. He and I and other staff worked diligently to get some of the section updated in our code. Today, our recommended motion is to adopt ordinance 2025-08 on first reading and to approve the revisions that we're requesting to the ordinance regarding the sales of fireworks, date permitted for sales, process, exemptions, and fees. And we anticipate the second reading to be June 9th at 7 p.m. So this was on a list when I had arrived. My staff had a list of things that they knew that they had to start working on, and this was one of those things that we missed when I started in July for the new year. So we had a bunch of folks coming in wanting to pull permits for fireworks sales, tent sales during New Year's, and so I tried to push it up and make it a priority to get this to you before the 4th of July. So I missed New Year's, but we'll have 4th of July in here. So one of a few of the changes is we have a general prohibition on the manufacture, sale, use, possession, display, or discharge of fireworks within the city with specific exceptions. We wanted to limit the allowance for the private sale and use for consumer fireworks on New Year's Day, January 1st, Independence Day, July 4th, and New Year's Eve, December 31st. In red here, you see we're asking your guidance. Did you want to add any additional holidays that you think fireworks sales may be a time to permit them? Additionally, the temporary sales are restricted to a 3-week period before the holiday and must conclude 1 week after that. Again, we're asking you if you want us to extend the sales period, shrink the sales period, just take a second look at that and see, give staff some direction. And we have a temporary use permit process already in play in the city, and we felt this was probably the best process to put them through so that we would have the ability to take a look at their tents from the building side of things and the fire side of things when they're constructed, because these are a little bit bigger than someone's pop-up tent, as you've seen. A little surprise, last year I think it was, the owner of the property didn't know the tent was even on their property. So we're going to make sure that the consent is in the packet as well going forward.
Just one thing before we go forward.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
On the limited allowance for the private sale, what are we limiting?
Limiting it just to those days.
What's that?
Limiting it just to those holidays.
Limiting just for those days?
Just for those holidays. If you would like to have, those are the ones we know fireworks are usually celebratory for.
Yep.
So that's why we put them in there. But if there's others that you want to add or you don't think those are the ones we need to do, just let me know. We can discuss it. Again, these exceptions do not override homeowners association rules or permit the public displays unless conducted by the city. The city of Newberry, I did put a provision in here that if the city wanted to have a fireworks display, meaning they were going to do 4th on the Avenue or whatever, we have the ability to do that from a public standpoint, but not nobody else, unless they come through the permit process. Yes.
But we can get a permit.
Yes. Well,
Special exception like we did
so the temporary use will be for the sales. The special exception would be for if there's going to be some kind of organized, yes. Right. Yes. Only 2 permitted sales locations per holiday. Again, that was just because every year, the past couple years, per the data that I received from my staff, we really only have 2, Phantom and Black Cat, that come in and want to put their stuff up. But if you feel like you want to eliminate it, reduce it, or increase the number of locations, we can do that. It can just be based on who comes in to get permitted, as long as they have the permission from the property owner that they're setting the tent up on. And I did put an exclusion in here for agriculture uses. I know farmers all the time are using fireworks in some way, shape, or form to get rid of pests. I've been to the blueberry farm when they're shooting the potato guns off to get rid of the birds. So I did put that exception in there for ag, that if you are doing it for ag purposes, there's no reason to get a temporary use permit for that, because farming is not temporary. And basically, to summarize all these revisions enhance local control while maintaining consistency with the state-level fireworks regulations. That was the biggest thing that Jason assisted me with, because there's been some changes in the state regulations, and our ordinance just says that those are the regulations we'll follow along with some of the local provisions we put in here.
Oh, does that conclude your?
It is
Nice.
concludes my presentation. Yes, Jason's here too if you have any questions regarding the state stuff.
Does the commission have any questions for him? Monty?
I do. As far as the days, I'd like to add Veterans Day
Veterans?
and Monty's birthday.
Oh, okay. I got it right here.
Is 3 week? Yeah, really. Is the 3 week period before, is that normal? Do they come in anytime earlier?
Not really. It's about 3 weeks. We could increase it by a week, make it a month, and then we want them to be out, and tent down and everything relatively soon after the holiday.
Okay. And do we have designated sites that they can sell it from? So it's just wherever they're able to find?
Get an agreement, yeah.
And can there be like 2 businesses on one site then? Could be there.
It depends on if you're limiting them. We don't care where they're limited to. I don't think they'd want to, just by competition. They want to make somebody drive across the street is my guess, but that could be. And 2 was my recommendation. You can have unlimited. As many people that apply for these and can find locations to place them on. I was just thinking the ones I've seen are always right out in the gateway, usually in
Next to Publix.
two spaces there. And did you want more than that going forward?
And how will this be enforced?
So we would, once they have the temporary use permit, we would.
What about if I decide to shoot fireworks on my birthday, who's going to come over and tell me to
Nobody.
stop?
Nobody's going to tell you to stop if it's Monday through Friday. But that's not what this is about. This is about the sales of the fireworks.
Okay. Okay. Well, it says,
Yes.
or discharge of fireworks
Well,
within the city, so
Yes. Well, I mean, someone calls and complains, then Greta has to follow up on all that.
okay. And what if this wouldn't have obtained to like a business that wanted to sell fireworks in a brick and mortar building? I mean, this wouldn't pertain to them, would it?
No, they're going to be retail sales. Now, they have to do much greater fire suppression. Jason can talk to you
I
about
was
if
just
you
curious
needed
if it's, I mean, I
But,
don't,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
That's it? Anybody else? I did have, so say someone gets certified, can they do it in a residential if they get permission? Subdivisions, neighborhoods, or does it have to be?
We wouldn't want that for
Okay.
sales. So big old tent set up
Okay.
for sales in someone's residential neighborhood.
Okay.
That actually leads me to something I probably should make that a little more clear in the ordinance.
Commercial properties only.
Right,
Yeah.
for the sale.
Ag or
Well, I mean.
industrial?
Well, ag could be a private property, 1 acre.
No, it ain't, 'cause
But I'm,
ag's 10 acres.
Well, 10 acres, but I mean, with one house, is what I'm saying is if I'm the resident of the house, can I put a tent up and sell if I'm certified?
I didn't think of that, so.
I wouldn't think,
I don't think that's,
Go ahead, Clark.
to you, Mr. Mayor there, I would think you wouldn't want that type of stuff inside of a subdivision nowhere.
I agree.
Just for fire. Or
This is
explosion.
clarification, this is clarification
Yeah,
for
yeah.
anyone watching.
Yeah. The corridor, industrial, there's still ag land across the corridor, open spaces, but definitely not near residential.
So then, do we need to make that
I'll make that clarity before.
clear?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll make that clarity before the second reading.
All right, we're good. Any other questions from the commission? Monty? No, you good? What about the public? Any questions from the public? None from the public? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No, I'm joking. Mark Clark with the first, and then Monty with the second.
Monty didn't say a word,
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you grunt? My bad. So Mark Clark, I'm sorry, Judy. Mark Clark with the first, and then Coleman with the second. All that are in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. Motion to approve. Do I need to? We good?
You did fine.
Thank you, Attorney.
You did it just fine. You asked for public comment after the motion is made. Second.
Oh, so make the, we're good?
But you're good.
Thank you. I thought so. No, hey. We move for perfection here in Newberry, baby. All right. So now, thank you very much, Stacy.
You're very
Actually,
welcome.
stay put, because now you're going to be updating the vacant property registration ordinance.
Yes.
And could Attorney Walker read the ordinance for that?
Happy to do so. It's ordinance number 2025-07, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing Chapter 14, Article 2, Division 4, Section 14-135, and creating Chapter 14, Article 2, Division 6, City of Newberry, Florida, to be entitled Registration of Foreclosing Mortgages and Vacant Property, providing for purpose, intent, and applicability of the ordinance requiring registration and maintenance of certain real property by mortgagees and vacant property by owners, providing for penalties and enforcement, as well as the regulation, limitation, and reduction of registrable real property within the City of Newberry, providing severability, repealer, codification, and an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed. Ordinance number 2025-07 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, Attorney. Hang
Sir.
on, wait, Stacy, before you go.
Yes.
Is Greta in the audience? Okay, she's right there. Proceed. Good. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so good evening again. This is your second reading of this, so we would be recommending adoption, motion to adopt ordinance 2025-7 on the second reading. I don't know that you want me to go through all of this again, but basically how and why we were here is we had a registry set up post 2007-8 when the crash happened and we had all these foreclosed mortgages and foreclosed homes. We needed to try to find a better way to register them. Over time, things have gotten a lot better, and this registry that we have now is so much better and easier for anyone that wants to actually take a look and see what was on the registry. Additionally, Dallas found some best practices, so we've included those in here. And I know this is going to be a big boon, especially for the CRA, because that's one of the things that the goals of the CRA is to get rid of the blight, and this helps us keep track of those properties and keep on top of them. So without further ado, if you have any other questions, I can go through the presentation again, but we're going to hope that you...
Do you guys want to go through this whole presentation again? Sorry. Do you guys want to go through this whole presentation again? Or just cut to the chase?
Move to approve.
Move to approve? All right, so, hang on, do we have any questions? No, we're good? All right. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Monty with the first, second by Donald Long. All that, Any public comment on it? On this matter, on this agenda item? Seeing none from the public, all that are in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, Greta. Appreciate that. All right. And now we're going to our item 14, repealing and replacing abandoned vehicle ordinances. Attorney Walker, could you please read that ordinance by title?
This is an ordinance, it's numbered 2025-06, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing and replacing Chapter 94, Article 5, abandoned vehicles, Section 94-121 through 94-125 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Newberry, Florida, providing for definitions, prohibitions, impoundment, and applicability of the ordinance, laying out the process for abandoned vehicles within the City of Newberry, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict and codification, and an effective date. The appropriate motion is pass ordinance number 2025-06 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Greta, take it away.
Commissioners, Greta Moreau, Code Enforcement Officer for the city. This is the second reading of a motion to adopt the ordinance 2025-06 reference to allowing city staff to remove abandoned vehicles in residential neighborhoods, streets, highways, right-of-ways as such. I did add this slide here from last time because I wanted to clarify what an abandoned vehicle was. vehicle with no or expired tag, vehicle that is inoperable, or vehicle that poses a danger to the public by the location or the condition of the vehicle. Anything, you want me to continue to go through this again?
The entire commission?
No.
I don't need it.
You good with this? All right, so,
Expired tag on it. You're going out then, son.
Just drag it in the street.
You put a foot in that street.
Where is it at? Drag it in the street.
You probably put it in a sinkhole.
so Greta, I
Yes,
do have
sir.
a question with it. So,
Yes,
so
sir.
with the expired tag, is there a timeline on it being there, being as an?
So my practice is more than 3 months.
Okay.
Generally. I don't have it in the ordinance anywhere, but that's just my practice in the past of what I've had, because there's always an illness or just someone forgot. If it's one of those situations, I'll put a note on it, just reminding them that it's expired. But if it goes unanswered for the 3 months, then.
Nice. That was one of your questions? Mm-hmm. Good for me. Any other questions from you guys? All right, with that being said, let's get a motion.
So move.
I got a motion by Donald Long, a second by Silent Monty over there. Do I have any comments from the public on this agenda item? Now, from the public, all that are in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greta. All right, so let's move on to 15, special use permit of North Fleet Industrial Park. And we have Attorney Walker, will you please read the quasi-judicial procedure, please?
So this is, we are now entering into a quasi-judicial procedure. This means that the commission will stop being a legislative body and become a judicial board, which means that we'll have to follow certain rules and adhere to a different standard of decision-making. The primary rule we must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. The standard states the following: all public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited only to the experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. And now I'm going to read into the record the ordinance or resolution by title and number. This is resolution number 2025-10 SUP 25-01. A resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, granting a special use permit to allow the concrete batch plant and truss plant with the accessory structures within the materials-oriented industrial development future land use category in Industrial I zoning district on 50 contiguous acres more or less, and 3.62 acres of agricultural future land use category and agricultural A zoning district pursuant to an application by the property owner of said acreage on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. The tax parcel numbers are 01875-000-000, 01875-001-000, and parcel number 01877-001-000 in its entirety, providing severability, providing for a repealer, providing for an effective date. The appropriate motion at the appropriate time will be to pass resolution number 2025-10, SUP 25-01. You can deny it by your motion, and of course, you have to have the evidentiary standard of substantial and competent evidence. The third alternative would be to continue it to a date certain in the future. At this point, our clerk, Judy Rice, will swear in the applicant, staff, any participants who are requesting to speak, and we'll do that collectively. Thank you, Judy.
Starting on my left, please state your name for the record. Stacy Hectus. Margo Mallard.
Greg Brady.
Do you hereby swear from the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Let me do this one.
Thank you, Judy. And at this time, we'll go through the procedure, but before we do that, are there any ex parte communications of the board members?
We'll start with Coleman.
I've just visited out there. Does that, I went and,
No, you're entitled to go
You're entitled.
look.
Okay.
You can go see it, you can look at the setup, all of that is perfectly fine. It's acceptable, and thank you for disclosing that. If it had the, possibility that it would create some question in your mind, just put it on the record. That's what
Mark Clerk?
I have visited for the site elevation to see exactly how this is not seen from the road. There's a big elevation change, and to see what the perimeter of this was, because this has come up in the past. So I have done that, but it makes no bearing on my vote.
Good deal. Monty? Donald Long? I did have a conversation with father and son, Silverback. They approached me in my deliveries, but it has no judgment on my decision whatsoever.
Thank you. With that, we will start with staff overview.
Uma, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Uma Sarmishta, Community Development Department. I'm reading Resolution 2025-10, SUP 25-1, Special Use Permit of an Industrial Park Site on 53.62 acres. So motion to approve today's Resolution 2025-10, SUP 2501, with conditions stated in Resolution 2510. Strategic goal, plan objective for this particular motion is a strong, diverse local economy. So giving you a background, this is a partial on the south 25 acre of total 50 acre of Alachua County parcel 01875-000 and 01857-001-000 and partial ID 01877-001-000 in its entirety. The petition is by NV5 Professional Consultancy, and they are here. Owner is Norfley, E.D. Norfley, Philip Norfley, and Katharina Bell. This application was received on 1/23/2025 to our department. We did an extensive review for 3 months. This petition was supposed to come first in April month, and we did advertise for that. But applicant decided to go in the March. The application was heard in the PZB May 5th PZB and was approved with the condition. So this is the timeline. It started actually last year with the planning and zoning and future land use change of the small scale amendment of 50 acre and more. That was received in, I think it was conducted in last year in February and March. And then after that, there was a special, after the rezoning, and this petition has to go through a special use permit, which was submitted on January. And then we had our first planning and zoning board meeting on May 5th. And this is the first and the final hearing on the city commission night. And once we approve today, we will go with the site and development plan. So the overview, the petition, as I said, is related to the future land use amendment from agriculture to material-oriented industrial development and rezoning of industry, which was heard, and application was approved under Ordinance 2024-07 and Ordinance 2024-08, respectively approved on 3/11/2024. We have applicant here, and I believe they have an application. I didn't get chance to review that because we never received it this time from them. So I will ask if they have any kind of presentation. They can come ahead and present it.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'm Margot Maurer with NV5, and I'm excited to be here presenting the third of 3 steps in the Norfleet Master Plan community. Okay. So previously, the city approved the Norfleet NC Ranch large-scale comp plan amendment and rezoning, followed by a small-scale comp plan amendment and rezoning on the industrial site. Tonight, we're here to request a special use permit for 2 industrial resource-based uses, a concrete batch plant and truss plant on the industrial site, which you previously approved land use and zoning for. We followed the process, which began last year, as Uma mentioned, submitted our application, staff reviewed the materials and determined complete, and now we're here at public hearing. The applicant has demonstrated consistency with City of Newberry process and has met all the requirements of the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code. This presentation, as well as my expert testimony, provide the competent, substantial evidence necessary for City Commission approval. Okay. So here's a context map of the property. As you can see, the site was abuts the NC Ranch. The industrial area was strategically chosen based on its proximity to NC Ranch. It has a CSX rail line to the west and is bounded on the east by US 27 State Road 45. Proximity to the rail will allow the delivery of raw materials into the industrial use site. From there, construction materials including concrete, the manufactured trusses from the truss plant can be delivered directly into NC Ranch without having to rely on traveling outside the site and, adding additional trips to truck traffic on US 27 State Road 45. The industrial site has the proper land use for the SUP and zoning, which the commission approved previously. City of Newberry Land Development Code requires a special use permit for these industrial-based uses, and section 14.7 lays out those requirements. This is an image we previously provided when we were looking at land use and zoning on the site. It locates the batch plant area to the west part of the site, and then the truss plant area to the just east of the batch plant area. This locates the uses so that they'll be significantly screened from surrounding roadways. All right, and this, you can see on here the topography supports that as well, but I'll get into that here more in a moment. Okay. So access will be aligned so that it creates a 90-degree intersection with Southwest 24th Street. And ingress and egress will be buffered along State Road 45. Given the site's size and existing tree line, there will be there's landscaping buffers or a combination of elements that will help further visual screening. The existing rail line to the west also provides buffering. And the uses will be sited or located on the property so that the topography helps shield the sites from, or the uses from being seen from the road. Right. This image here shows the batch plant area with direct access to the rail. Materials can be brought directly in from the rail site. And then truss plant area. A site access drive will be provided along the southern boundary of the property and creating the intersection that aligns with Southwest 24th Street to the right or east. Also, I did want to point out that the star shows where a TRIP's parents actually live, so you can be certain that any concerns about noise or nuisance will be mitigated. So. Here's some images of the site from the highway looking to the back of the property. You can see the entrance from the road where there is already an existing tree line which provides buffering along State Road 45. And this is actually a picture of the batch plant, the concrete batching plant that will be put on the site. I believe it's on the site already, and as you can tell from the first photo on the upper left, you can't even see it from the road.
Is that it? That's it?
Yeah.
Is there no like small silos or anything like that?
There's some small,
It's
little work, but it's small.
it's integrated into the system.
It's coming up. Sorry.
Oh, no. It's yeah. So that's it on the lower left. Okay. Acoustic engineers prepared a sound study, and the sound study revealed that the proposed uses will be in accordance with City of Newberry's noise ordinance, so sound levels will not exceed those established limits. City staff have found the application consistent and meets the criteria of Section 14.7.1 for a special use permit for industrial-based uses or activities, and consistent with Section 14.7.1.1 for material-oriented industrial development. Found consistent with City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Regulations, staff and the PZB unanimously approved recommendation for approval by the City Commission. Be available to answer any questions.
Can I press? Yeah.
All right, so, okay, so then,
I have some conditions there.
so you're not,
No, I'm not done. Sorry. I'm here for the conditions which we have, which we have discussed. And I think, thank you for the presentation, Margot. It was great. And I think everybody now got the idea where it is. We did had a lot of back and forth with the staff discussing what will be the final outcome, how we can have pest management practice there, and we came up with some condition to approve with the approval, and these conditions were shown to the applicant and the owner, and they agreed to participate with the with the condition. Sorry, should I go? Okay, no worries. That's it. Thank you.
so they did, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go over the conditions, I guess not.
Yes, I will. Yeah, go.
Go ahead, Coleman.
You said that you already talked to the applicant
About
about
the
the conditions?
conditions, yes, and
Okay.
it is a part of our resolution too. So we had some 9 conditions in there in our resolution, which we have got approval from the applicant, and it is a part of the resolution. So I think the first and major one is that the operating hours, which should be 4 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday. The second one is the owner shall follow the acoustic study guidelines and acoustic study guideline and actively monitor noise and vibration complaint in a report recording the date, time, phone, email, address, name of the person and the nature of the complaint. An electronic form of the report must be made available by email to the city manager or the designee within 24 hours of request. Prior to commencement of new operation on the subject property, the owner shall provide and coordinate fire service and emergency plan with the City of Newberry Fire Department. There is a requirement of utilizing the dark sky friendly lighting. Then we have conditions of within 10 days of the notice of regulatory violation from the local, regional, state, federal agency, the owner shall forward those notices to city clerk and the City of Newberry by email and US certified mail. Such notice must include response from the owner on the step to resolve and mitigate the expected time and resolve the matter on the violation. Prior to approval of the site and development plan, the owner shall fulfill a traffic study requirement, provide a dedicated right-of-way of ingress and egress from US 2741 in site and development plan. The site and development plan shall follow the landscape and other requirement on the overlay district, because this part of the property is in the 500 feet of overlay district. Prior to commencement of the operation of the subject property, owner agent shall provide wildlife protection study, and if required, resident of Gopher tortoise shall be relocated to an off-site protected habitat appropriate to the species. So these are the conditions which we have discussed with the applicant, and they agree with that, and this conditions goes with the resolution. So with that,
All right.
yes, sir.
Go ahead, Monty, and then Coleman. Questions?
First, why the 4 a.m. start time?
So that was a good discussion we had with our utility director, and that was one recommendation considered by Jamie, who said that most of these, even if they say 6 a.m., they will start operating early so that they can get the things going on the road before the traffic comes in.
And will the trucks and stuff transporting the trusses and the concrete, will they be all internal, or are they going to be coming out on the state road?
So that is a question we will be discussing more on the site and development plan. Right now, they are saying everything will be internal, but they are providing ingress and egress through the state highway too. So that question, I will refer it back to the applicant again, because they had a discussion on that.
Come on up.
Margot Maurer in V5. Yes, the applicant intends to route most of the truck traffic through the industrial site directly into NC Ranch to avoid increasing number of trips that are generated out onto the State Road 45. There may be minimal, but that's the whole reason why the site was chosen.
Okay.
Proximity.
And regarding the process of any complaints, that would be turned over to the city, and the city would give them recommendations. If they don't follow those recommendations, what would be the result?
I think
How would that be enforced?
that will be violation of the code. We have to get in touch with the code enforcement otherwise, and then I think that's the next step on that.
What code would be in violation of?
This is the special use permit, and since it's stated in the resolution, it will be a code of violation of the zoning code itself, so.
Coleman?
I don't care about none of that. Just make sure they unplug them dadgum backup beepers.
Is that in the, well, you're joking.
I know I'm joking, but
Okay.
they
Okay, I'll let you
I
finish.
got calls.
Okay.
Okay.
And I love them guys. They work hard, but just back up, those backup, just, I'll go there and snip them. That's it.
Any other questions? All right. So is that, I have some questions.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I understood quite a bit while we were going through this, Ms. Irma. I know you said you've talked to the applicant. Because in the other process, we had this crazy idea about 25-foot berms. That ain't in this. I didn't see it in this.
Yes.
Little bit of berms, maybe, little bit of vegetation, but nothing that was mountains to build and that were going to be totally unsafe to put vegetation on.
True.
Okay,
And
so
that
none of
was,
that's in
none
there.
of those
Oh,
is
really?
going because of
Oh,
the,
yeah.
because of the elevation and,
Right.
and the bumps
I
here
drive
we
by it
are.
every day.
So
Yeah.
that was, but that was again, that will
There'll
come.
be some, but I know there was thing got off the chain crazy one time before.
Yes, and
Okay.
still we have the site and development plan coming in
Okay.
after that, and that will be another
The
round of.
site plan.
Yes,
Okay.
that site plan will have more landscape requirement in there.
I'm good.
Okay. I do have a question about the berm. Any other questions? So are the berms going to be southeast, west, where?
Marco?
Site plan.
Site plan within, but I'm talking about like, okay, so for instance, like the, what's the distance from that batch plant to the first house, resident house? How many feet is that going to be? Is there going to be a berm in between those trees? Barlow?
Well, Mr. Chair, I would say the first house is Mr. Norfleet Senior. So that would be the first person you're going to get a complaint from. And I'm not sure if we know the distance to that house, but when we have the site plan, the berms and landscaping will happen wherever there's a line of sight.
Well, here's the thing though, when the site plans, right? So say you come back with the site plans hypothetically and you say it's 100 feet, I disagree with that. It's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, if that makes sense. I'm kind of like, okay, for instance, I think Watson is 500 feet, or that batch plant over there, that SRM deal, is 500 feet from Avalon Woods' house. It's 500 feet. Would I be looking at something like that, or would it be less than that?
It's going to be quite a bit.
Would it be more than that? It's quite a bit,
It's
but with
gonna
no
be quite a
berms, not knowing if there's gonna be any berms.
There will
that's the
be some,
question.
but last time, Mr. Mayor, they had the ones at 25 feet, which were ridiculous. You were building a mountain.
Yeah.
These will have some berms with some vegetation, but a tree can't even grow on 25 feet without getting blown off. That was the craziness on the first time we discussed this thing right here. So some berms will be put, and it looks like they've met all the conditions that they want, is what I'm saying. The site plan will show how big they are.
So right now, there is a natural vegetation on the south side of the property, and that they will be keeping it. Apart from that, this is like 500 foot from the main highway, so we cannot do the overlay district. However, when the site and development plan comes in, we can definitely take that into consideration and move forward with more. If commission required, we will go with the more vegetation requirements and buffer
Okay,
requirements.
I know that she said that the path, I'll be real, he can come out State Road 45 all he wants, that's not our road. This subdivision is gonna be a CDD subdivision, meaning they're gonna pay for anything that comes in there. So that's why I was asking about the berms and what the berms are gonna look like, vegetated, nice, irrigated, whatever. But you said they're gonna be, the path of travel would be on the south side of the industrial park, going over the railroad tracks and going to the subdivision? West side?
Let me see if I can.
That's what I'm, yeah.
Okay, so you're wondering about, let me see if I can.
So Monty asked the question of ingress egress. So the trains are gonna be bringing the material in, which would be the dirt, I'm assuming the gravel, right?
Correct.
Right, so then they come in, so then when the silverback mixer stuff, they're gonna be taking a route going west. They won't come out State Road 45, but they will have some, I get that, but I'm trying to figure out the main route from that batch plant.
North.
So it'll be going north towards his father's house, but not on State Road, going north of and then heading out.
I think parallel to the railroad tracks.
Parallel north.
So parallel north, okay.
Yes, so it's conceptual, but that's a general idea about how materials will be delivered to the
Okay,
north.
so it doesn't go, okay. Okay,
Exactly.
all right. Do we have any other questions?
None for me.
I have a copy of the presentation.
All we need is
and the report to
yeah,
the
that's,
benefit.
yeah, that's,
I have just the recommendation action.
have at it.
So with that, staff finds the proposed special use permit consistent with the City of Newberry Land Development Regulation and Comprehensive Plan, and this requests the board to approve Resolution 2025-10 SUP 25-1 with conditions stated in Resolution 25-10.
All
That's
right.
from my side. I'm here for questions.
Thank you, Uma. That was very well, and thank you very much for your presentation, ma'am. So, if the commission doesn't have any more questions, I would entertain a motion.
Second.
First by Donald Long, second by Commissioner Clark. Do we have any questions from the public on this agenda item?
Mayor, I'll just let you know that
This is
we have
quasi.
received the evidence, the Northfleet Industrial Site, special use permit applications, we have that. We have the Seavine acoustic study that was provided with this, and so that will also be entered into evidence, and of course your standard is substantial and competent evidence. We don't have anybody that's applied for intervenor status. The applicants made the presentation, staff's made its report and recommendation. I don't believe there's any cross-examination that anybody wishes to do at this time. So with that, we're
All
ready
right, for a motion. It was first by Donald, second by Clark. All that are in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. I did.
You have to do it again.
I do it again. Anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? No? Seeing none? All that are in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm hungry, can't you tell? Passes unanimously.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Okay, we're out of quasi judicial public hearing. So we're going to go into agenda items. So we're going to start discussing Southwest 30th Ave, and Jamie Jones is going to hit us with the presentation. Have at it.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, good evening, Commissioners. Jamie Jones, Utilities and Public Works. This is the Southwest 30th Avenue chip seal project. We have made some modifications to the recommended action, so let me read that. Number one request is to authorize the city manager to execute a contract in the amount of $247,482.52 for the chip seal surfacing of Southwest 30th Avenue east from 2741 to 202 with asphalt paving systems. Number two, authorize the city manager to approve change orders not to exceed 15% of that contract total. Third, we would like authorization for the mayor and staff to execute and file a maintenance map with clerk of the court for what we're maintaining currently. And lastly, we would like for you to authorize the remaining existing budgeted funds for obtaining land rights where we can on the road in the case that we are able to pave it down the road. As you all are aware, just to catch Commissioner Long up, this is probably the most discussed road segment in Newberry. We have beat this horse to death as to whether or not that we should pave it, chip seal it, or whatnot. We believe that we can move forward and chip seal with this piggyback contract for Sumter County in the amount of the $247,000 some odd dollars, and we will basically improve the road surface. It is a surface treatment, but it will improve travel conditions until such time we can obtain land rights and pave the roads. So with that, if the commission has any questions, I'm here to answer them.
All right. With that being said, any questions, Monty? Go ahead.
Jamie, how long would it take to obtain those land rights?
For that entire road segment, most likely a year to a year and a half or longer if we have someone that is particularly problematic.
See, I'm kind of hesitant in approving a chip seal when I think we should be obtaining the land rights and actually paving the road. I think the chip seal is just kind of a Band-Aid on a problem that can be done correctly the first time instead of just putting the chip seal on and then later trying to fix it. So I'm not in favor of doing that at this time. I'd much rather move forward with obtaining the land rights and then paving it correctly.
I do believe that the city does need to establish a program to slowly but surely acquire land rights on all of these road segments. So whether it's with city funds or grants or through the process of development, you do have the ability to pave roads and have the full ability to manage stormwater in the process.
Go ahead, Clark.
So Jamie, and I know we have beat this horse to death. We've already spent a ton of money on a survey, which we could almost chip seal this road for to begin with. We got money left over out of chip sealing that we can still buy land rights for those that are willing to give you the land rights. Is that correct?
We budgeted approximately $350,000 to start obtaining land rights in this budget cycle. The commission, once we got a price back from a real estate right-of-way type agent to facilitate that process, wanted us to hold up, so we haven't moved forward with that. This $247,000 would come out of that $350,000. That leaves us the balance to start the process and move forward, and see how far we can go.
But there are people that with the remaining money you can buy who have already allowed, even said that you would give you land rights, because there's still a pile that said no.
Everyone said that they would give land rights. Not all were in favor of the potential.
They did?
Yeah.
I live there. Let me check this out.
They all, we didn't have anybody say that they wouldn't give the land rights, but we did have difference of opinion of who should be compensated and who not.
Okay. Well, you got money. to buy what you can buy
That
and
is
then go
correct.
after the others, and we will save the city money instead of spending $4 million on a road that we get to the other end. The county has got something worse than our dirt road.
Well, it would actually be a little higher than that, Commissioner Clark.
There you go.
Paving right now, that road segment would be at least $5.2 million.
Okay, so here's my thought process. I'd rather chip seal it, get the Dusty Road Act in place, get this done, get it over with, because I drive it and everybody else that drives, there's already been an accident on it, or two, because of running into the back of a truck out there. But I'd rather spend my $5 million as far as my vote on 46th Avenue and let this road become in play when we get the developments that are coming in there. And they're gonna have to pave about a mile point something of it. So anyway, for me, that's kind of the common sense approach that I would like to throw out there, and I'm in favor of just
Well, you can look
doing
at,
what you gotta do.
you can look at this as a bridge, and you haven't totally lost the value of the chip seal. You just mix it into the lime rock base and then pave over it. I would not recommend paving over the chip seal without mixing it.
That's right. I'm gonna take your professionalism, that we ain't lost a pile of money, we can use it and keep rolling.
You good, Clark?
I'm good. Thank you.
So if development comes in there and are we going to make them pave the road at that point in time?
If on the segments of the road that the development abuts, they're required to give adequate right-of-way. We do have a long-standing development out there that's being resurrected, and there is adequate road right-of-way there. We can have them pave that segment because there's actually land rights there, the landowner giving the land rights. As far as being able to extract out of them to pave any further, we cannot because we don't have the land rights. That's the reason I believe that regardless of this specific project, that we need to establish a program on all the rural road segments that we think ever will be improved, whether it's a collector or not, and start to slowly but surely gather those land rights. And if you have a development move forward and you have the land rights in hand, and they, you can justify the rational nexus that their traffic will impact past just their development, then you can require them to pave it. If this particular development, Newberry Ridge, if we had the land rights in hand all the way to 202, we could make a run at the nexus that their traffic would require improvement all the way to 202. Unfortunately, we don't have the land rights.
What percentage of the road does Newberry Ridge fall on?
Less than a tenth.
Okay, so you're going to have chip seal, paved road, chip seal?
No, sir, they're all the way on the western edge. If they do come forward and go to pave it, we require them to mix it. They would pave their segment from 2741 to the eastern edge of their property, and it'd tie into the
There's 10 miles?
chip seal. I don't think it's quite, I don't think theirs goes quite that deep. Is it?
But you said a tenth, I think he got confused on.
Oh, well, it's a small portion of the overall project, I'll put it that
So
way.
it's about a tenth of a mile is what you're saying?
No, it's a little further than that,
Or a little bit?
but it's a small portion of the overall road segment we're discussing.
Mark, you done? Not to rush you, just making sure.
Yeah, I guess so.
You sure? All right. Manager Lee?
Mr. Mayor, I'd also remind the commission that should Newberry Ridge develop, you'd collect impact fees for all those housing units that you could use to pave the remainder of the road.
Once you get the land rights.
Mr. Chair.
Manager Marlowe?
I did want to just follow up on what Assistant Manager Jones just said. We will be budgeting, we'll bring back for you to get the remaining of those land rights, probably not in this upcoming budget because we've got enough to get us started. We'll chip seal and get the remainder, but look for that in the next year's budget. But we have also time to space that out, so we can slowly do that and acquire that so that when, if that development moves forward, we'll have all the rights.
All right. Any other questions? No. All right. So, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion. Done along with the first. Mark Clark. Coleman with the second. Any questions from the public on this matter? Chip sealing at 30th Ave? Getting rid of that dirt? Yeah? All right. Do we need to do roll call? No? All that are in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. All right. So now we're down to agenda item number 17, discussing of code section 4216, parking, storage, or use of major recreational vehicles. Stacy with the presentation.
Yes, thank you. Good evening again. So I think you all have been kind of waiting on this code section to come, and it's been, we've been working on it, basically getting it to you, and we apologize for the delay, but here we are tonight. And the question I always ask is, how did we get here? And this item started roughly, March? Last year, so last fall, where Greta was going into a neighborhood for another code complaint, and while she was in there, she saw these vehicles that were there, and she gave them a courtesy notice. That was all it was just a courtesy notice saying, hey, major recreational vehicles shouldn't be out front there. Before she could even come back to do a re-around, one of them already got their boat out of the way. One complied roughly a few weeks later, and then the other one didn't comply. And so that process then started where we ended up getting to the magistrate. Excuse me. I just wanted to make it clear that it started with a courtesy notice. It was just a, hey, your boat's in your front yard. The other thing is, this neighborhood happens to also have deed restrictions that the same code section that we're discussing from the citywide side of things also is in their deed restrictions. And so that was something that you sign when you come into the neighborhood. You sign your deed restrictions, or you sign your closing documents. Your deed restrictions are usually included in that. And everybody goes on their merry way, and usually 9 times out of 10 forgets that they even signed those things or read them.
Mr. Chair, I'm so sorry, Ms. Stacy. I just want to intervene. I want to emphasize 2 points, actually. First, this started with a courtesy, saying, hey, you're grown adults. You voluntarily signed mortgage papers. Will you agree to do this, right? This was a favor. Hey, just letting you know. Okay, so that's my first point. Nobody up on that dais is a dictator. Nobody up on that dais is Hitler. These are grown adults who voluntarily signed and agreed to abide by the rules of the neighborhood, okay? And now they've changed their minds. And it was not that the person failed to respond. That person left an abusive voicemail and told one of my female employees that she should eat a penis, okay? Using a different word, okay? So I want to make it clear that how we got here was our employee went out and did a courtesy to a resident to say, hey, a rule you agreed to abide by, you're in violation of, we'd ask you to come into compliance. And that was the immediate response from the resident, okay? So I don't want to gloss over that. I don't want to ignore that fact. I think that is a very pertinent fact. I will not stand for our employees to be abused in that manner, okay? Our employees continued to behave professionally, continued to ask for compliance. Since that time, we have continually been verbally abused. You guys have been verbally abused, called all kinds of names by someone who this all started by asking them to do a favor to comply with something that, as a grown adult, he signed, his wife signed a sheet of paper that said, these are the rules we agree to live by. So I think that should be made clear. I think that the resident.
So after all of the courtesy notice, it was stepped up because this person was not moving their vehicle. So this is the history for that. We basically had a notice of violation, went through the magistrate process, and through those hearings and subsequently at the city commission meeting, staff was directed to examine this ordinance and bring it back to you all for discussion. So that's what we're here for today, and looking for guidance from the commission. What section of the code are we talking about? The 4.2.16, parking, storage, or use of major recreational vehicle equipment. It's right there. Boats, trailers, travel trailers, pickups, campers or coaches, motorized dwellings, tent trailers, houseboats, and the like. Cases and boxes that are used for transporting those recreational vehicles, or those vehicle equipment, recreational equipment. No major recreational equipment shall be used for living, sleeping, or housekeeping purposes when parked or stored on a lot in a residential district or in any other location not approved for such use. In residential districts, major recreational equipment may be parked or stored in a rear or side yard, but not in a required front yard, provided, however, that such equipment may be parked anywhere on the residential premises for a period not to exceed 24 hours during loading and unloading. So that's bring your boat home after fishing, wash it off one day, you let it dry, you put your cover on it, you move it back where it needs to go. This is the actual code section. So I wanted to point that out, and we can come back to it if you need to come back to the words. We have some options here. We can leave the ordinance as written. We can discuss any language changes to the ordinance, and we'll pull from some examples we have coming forward, or we can repeal the ordinance. Here are some jurisdictions with similar ordinance language. I've highlighted the main highlights out of all the words, but they have in the city of Alachua, the storage or parking of all boats, recreational vehicles, and utility travel trailers shall be located within a side or rear yard. We're not the pioneers in this at all by any means. Others are doing the same, they're asking for the same thing. Again, in Gainesville, they do the same thing. Parking is permitted outside any structure in the front yard, provided space is not available in the rear or side yard, and no structure or storage is available, or there is no access to either side yard or rear yard. The vehicle is parked perpendicular to the front property line. No part of the vehicle may extend over a public sidewalk, bike path, or street. That's a very important point right there. We'll come back to that.
Stacy, I know we're gonna get into this.
Yes.
But I can tell you, some of this, and we'll go through this, because this thing is really, really outdated.
Yes.
And it's outdated because subdivisions now are built, you'd have to tell everybody in the subdivision to move out. Because there's 14 trucks and everything else sitting in the driveway over the sidewalk. So even new stuff is not in this. So there's a lot of little nuances that we either need to take out, add, or make it where we're not running through this every day, all day, trying to solve world hunger because of because there's a lot of craziness in this to me.
Yes.
So go ahead and then we'll discuss.
Perfect.
Hang on, Stacy.
Yeah.
Don?
Well, I'll let her finish and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
I'm sorry? Oh, okay. So then we have others. I said, as long as the vehicles, I put underlined serviceable in there. No part of the recreational vehicle may extend over a public sidewalk, bike, or trail, bike path, or street. I want to come back to that as well. That may be potentially a remedy for some of the code section going forward. Green Cove, they have their same thing behind the, instead of the front edge, it has to be behind the roof line. Marion County, it has a little bit of different ordinance. Theirs was they have a setback in the front yard of 10 feet from the front property line versus not, you can still put it in the front yard, it just has to be set back 10 feet from the front property line. And again, it's not impeding people's visual vision triangle, as we call them. No vehicular traffic is being impeded, or pedestrians or bicyclists by parking a lot over the sidewalk is mainly the thing. So we had some pictures that we put together that we wanted to show you what these roads and your neighborhoods can look like when there's a bunch of different recreational vehicles parked in the yards and in the streets. We have a few here where there's multiple boats. And as you can see, if you were the home where the guy in the wheelchair is, you can't even hardly see down the road because the vehicles are so big, they're blocking the sight triangle. Then we have this one here blocking the sidewalk in the front yard again. And this one was just a funny one that we put in there where someone just parked the boat in the middle of the road. But you can see down the way in the back there, there's all the bigger RVs and boats blocking that sight triangle, as we call it. Here was one where now the vehicle parks in the grass because the boat's parking in the driveway. So I have this as questions, but this is just the pictures I wanted to show you, and we can go back to our language and see what changes or edits that we want to make to it, keeping in mind that we're talking not about regular people's cars and their vehicles, current vehicles. We're talking about the recreational vehicles, the extras.
So Stacey, I have a question.
Yes.
So I work out of my trailer and it's hooked to my truck. And I park it because my yard property is a cul-de-sac. So basically, my whole yard is a side yard.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
My whole yard is a side yard. So how would that impede if I park it right along the edge of my fence line, which is 10 feet back on that setback line?
So
What's a trailer?
it's not, it doesn't meet our
Okay.
code for recreation. This is specific to recreational vehicles, the extras, the boats, the tent trailers, the campers, the travel trailers, houseboats.
Now, some people have turned those into travel trailers, those little 5x8 trailers. You couldn't tell from the outside, but if they kept it hooked to their vehicle, then it would be the same thing as I have.
I guess, because it would be then now moved from work to recreation.
Mr. Chair.
So,
Go ahead, Marlon.
We can stand here and talk about this all night.
Yeah, I had the question of it.
I would make two, in 14 years being on your side of the dais, this is the only time this has been a problem. And when I read our ordinance, the only thing I find at fault with is there's a clear definition of what counts as major. And what I think counts as major is something that impedes visibility or impedes the public right-of-way, which would answer a lot of what if you go out onto the sidewalk, that's a problem. If I can't see past and there's kids in the next yard playing ball, and I can't see that, and I'm driving down the road, right, that's a problem. But if you've got a canoe, and I can see past that, that's not a problem, right? If you've got a flatboat, I can see past that, that's not a problem. And I think that's a really quick, right? A major is defined as anything that impedes visibility or impedes the public right-of-way. And I think you can leave every other word in there just the way it is, and we can all move on. I didn't want to cut you off, but you're looking for suggestions, that's mine.
All right, you're good. Okay, Mark Clark?
So I would like to have the opportunity to get with the city manager and yourself, and even code enforcement, and let's have I agree what the city manager said, and some of this stuff though is really, really unique, because as I drive around here, even though the first case has gotten elevated to way beyond where it should be, there's cases in our city where the road goes in as their backyard. It looks like junk because the boats are sitting there. So I'd rather have them, it just doesn't make sense about this front yard thing. I think we've got encapsulated, maybe on the deed restriction is where we got them, but not every boat in the front yard. Because there's a $150,000 boat I could drive to right now, sitting in the front yard, looks better than 90% of the cars that are in the driveways. So, and then the side yards, there's one sitting, pulling in a subdivision that's right beside the road. And that is not their yard. That is a right-of-way or something that has nothing to do with yard, but it's been sitting there for, I don't know, a year or two maybe.
well, fantastic. Now we have abandoned vehicles.
So I'd like to sit with you or the city manager and code enforcement and have a quick discussion on it. Nothing, I don't want to write the rule or nothing. I just want to look at it and have a couple statements on it, and I think we can move forward, as the city manager said.
We would invite that.
Mr. Chairman, I would just say, I agree this has been elevated, but this hasn't been elevated by your city staff.
No,
right?
no.
Your city staff had followed the rules that you laid out. The resident has decided to elevate it with the way
I think,
he's abused.
I have talked to the city manager, and there ain't gonna be no promises, but we're gonna discuss this too outside of the dais because of what, this wasn't brought up to this dais when anyone sitting here knew that, because that is totally out of line. It was totally kept from us instead of being brought forward in with a meeting so we understand where it all came from. So I would like to have the opportunity with the city manager and discuss this with the individual himself. And I welcome the call. If they're listening tonight, I'd welcome the call.
You reaching for the mic? Monty, you reaching for the mic?
Personally, at this point in time, I don't see any reason to change the ordinance. I do we have anything in any ordinance regarding parking or blocking the sidewalk, though?
I don't think that we do specifically, but we are in the process right now of revising Article 5, which is our subdivision ordinance. And one of the things that we're probably going to be bringing towards you is wider roads, because if you go to Avalon Woods, You have folks blocking sidewalks because the driveways are so short. You have people blocking neighbors' driveways. When they back out, they're backing out where a car is moved past their driveway. The roads need to be a little bit wider because I can guarantee you Jason's going to tell you he has a little bit of trouble getting down some of those roads when people start parking on the streets. And those block sidewalks as well.
That's another thing we need to look into is street parking, because it can become a hazard.
It's being examined.
Yep, and if somebody has a boat that they need to put in storage, there's a storage place right outside of town. Here we got one, so that,
We got 5 of them.
you know,
And one's being added on. Coleman?
Yes.
I think I rented there while I was building my house, and I believe there are deed restrictions are there that you can't have anything impeding the sidewalk area. And the second thing is, I'm not going to name the names or anything, but we went above and beyond with this gentleman. And I like him personally, but we went above and beyond by going to a storage owner, which in turn talked to him and offered him practically across the road free storage for this. So, and that he backed out. He's trying to make a point, I know, but we're past all that. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the dais? All right, so then I guess this would be a motion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before we leave this, I mean, I appreciate those comments. I think we have gone above and beyond. And again, I just want to reiterate the fact that our code enforcement officer, I have seen this woman work on Saturdays. I've seen this woman work overtime to help elderly residents, disabled residents, economically vulnerable residents come into compliance. I have seen her just go a mile above and beyond. She did not deserve to be treated like this. She did not deserve to be on social media treated like this. I don't believe you guys deserve to be treated on social media like this. No one ever reached out to me from that neighborhood and said, hey, I got this letter and I don't understand it. Can you help me? All I saw immediately was voicemails that I believe are completely inappropriate. And then I saw attacks on social media. That's not adult behavior. It's not responsible behavior. It's not respectful behavior. And I would ask that before this commission decide anything about what they do, that we reach out to the resident and say the first thing that you have to do before we have any further conversations is you need to apologize. You need to apologize. This was not behavior reflective of anyone who's worn a uniform. It's not reflective of any behavior that is an adult, and we're not going to stand for it. Our employees, they work too hard for this community, and we're not going to let them be treated like that.
Mr. Manager, I can appreciate that, but I see this as two separate things. You have that individual, but you still have the ordinance.
She was just following the rules.
She's following the rules, but the ordinance should be done on its own accord, not in retaliation or justification for what the individual has said or done. But
I agree, and I did not mean to imply that. I'm thinking about, what you guys may or may want to do to help this person in the future. It needs to start with an apology. That was not retaliation. Yeah.
As a separate matter.
So then would this be a motion to alter the code? Staff?
Or we
to
can
direct the staff to go and work with?
Well, I've heard one commissioner ask to have further conversations.
Yes.
I've heard one commissioner say they don't want to make a change. So I think I need the chair to get some direction from the other commissioners. Do you want to leave the ordinance alone? Do you want?
Further conversation?
Yeah, I'll do that.
So then this would be an extension.
Yeah, we'll table this item.
Table the item, so we don't need a motion for this. We're going to table, we
Right.
do need
This
a
was-
motion to
actually,
table
this-
it. So could I have a motion to table this?
Well-
Move to table the ordinance for tonight and for further discussion.
Second.
and the mayor, I mean, the manager and code enforcement or whoever can contact us individually, and we can discuss it on a one-to-one
Correct.
basis with you guys.
So I got a motion from Clark and I got a second from Coleman. Stacy,
I'm good.
any comments from the public on this item, this agenda item? Seeing none? All that are in favor to table this item, Signify by saying aye. Aye. This, the unanimous decision is aye. Thanks, Stacy. All right. So with that being said, that concludes our agenda items. And now we're going to move to our comments, correct? And we're going to start with the citizens. If the citizens have any agenda items that they wanted to elaborate on further, you have 5 minutes. Or any events, tea parties, camp, fishing trips, free clothing.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for voting for the industrial plant and just let you guys know that we're going to make it look really good and something I think we got a lot of houses we're putting next to it, and we want it to look really nice for them too. So we want to be a good neighbor to everybody that's around us on that, and sure appreciate you guys voting tonight. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I said. But thank you guys.
You still got 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah. I can fill it up.
Any more comments from the public? All right, then we're going to move to Assistant Manager Lee.
Something manager, who knows?
Assistant Manager Lee.
Whatever he is this week. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, yesterday was a holiday, so Waste Pro's collection schedule is delayed by 1 day for the rest of the week. The incoming city manager and I will be at the Florida City and County Managers Association Conference for the remainder of this week. We'll be heading down tomorrow. We'll be there Thursday and Friday. But of course, we'll have our cell phones if you need us. I won't steal Commissioner Clark's thunder too much, but the dedication ceremony yesterday at the Newberry Veterans Memorial Park was outstanding. That park looks awesome, and the turnout we got was incredible. Mr. Mayor, this is my last meeting serving as your interim city manager. So I just want to take a moment to thank the commission for trusting me to serve in this role, and thank the city staff for everything they did to support me while I was interim city manager. It was a very calm, nothing happened last 3 months, chill. And I would like to remind everybody that I opened Publix as city manager. So with that, I'll turn it over to incoming manager Marlowe.
Thank you. And you'll never top opening Publix in your first week as manager. I also wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Clark and his committee, and to our facilities, and really everybody on city staff worked for yesterday to come together, and it was beautiful and wonderful turnout. Thank you to the Newberry residents for having that amount of turnout. It blew everybody away. I also want to say thank you to you guys and to the city staff for how much community building activities we're engaged in. I know everybody up here does different things, but in my capacity as the senior sponsor, I put on a week of activities, and pretty much every day there was something that the city was helping out, whether it was just loaning us a screen so we could show a movie, or helping us have a park so we could grill hot dogs and hamburgers. We really do work together to make sure that our kids have these memories. Finally, I have been asked to relay a request from the city of Archer that we have a workshop together to discuss our mutual partnership for the wastewater plant. What I would ask is that you direct staff to engage in those conversations with the mayor from Archer, so that we can talk about the best format to do that, the timing, and those kinds of things. But that is the request. I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I'd just like to have more conversations about how we go about having that conversation. Again, from Newberry's standpoint, the timeline for the wastewater plant is fairly well set. We will begin construction in 2026, maybe at the end of 2026, but we're going to begin it in 2026, and it's going to be built, and we'll be ready to meet all of our contractual obligations. I think the Archer residents have some questions. I'm not quite sure a workshop is the best way to answer those questions, but I would like to engage in the conversation with the mayor and see if that is. And I believe that the Archer mayor is willing to entertain those discussions.
Fletcher Hope, Mayor of Archer. I just want to express my gratitude for the continued partnership in this unique, we're kind of under the microscope with this regional wastewater plan. Right now, we have this little purse string of $22 million in grant sources coming at us at a crossroads with strict deadlines. I have discovered as late as today with our Board of County Commissioners or whatever. There's a lot of unknown and misinformation, and then it quickly spreads to our citizenry on both the Newberry side and the Archer side. And I want to put that to rest and make sure that we introduce ourselves and what our intentions are and our timelines with you, some of you who are new commissioners in Newberry, certainly Mr. Marlowe in his new position as it changes, and allow Woodard and Kern to even be present in those discussions so that everybody's on board with the different timelines, but making sure you can appreciate our strict deadlines with the grant sourcing of the money as we go into our continued financial recovery. And yeah, I'm Mr. Nickel and Dime right now with Archer Financial Recovery. Everywhere I can find savings, I'm exhausting those resources of opportunity. So, but you as our partner need to be included in that at this point. So, because we do have this kind of funds with our deadlines for design, construction, and the big players, DEP right now with $13 million of that grant source with strict deadlines in the next 6 months. So thank you for that opportunity if you can have that workshop.
That's it. Do I have permission to engage in that conversation about what the appropriate format to
We'll
have
just
those
get a head nod.
Head nod is fine. So
Do your thing, Marlo.
appreciate you.
All right.
That concludes it for me. Done.
City Attorney?
I think there's no better way to spend a Memorial Day than was spent yesterday morning. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that was just an absolute first-class, small town, middle school orchestra band that's playing, and we've got great speakers. 1,000 people from the surrounding community and this community were there, and it was just a great event. And it spoke to Newberry. We're very blessed as the city attorneys for Newberry. We're always also very blessed to be attorneys for Archer. So any way we can help both these communities in this way, times of need and times of uncertainty, that's when leaders lead. And I see that from this dais, I see that from the dais down there. And it's going to get pulled together with the commonality that these two communities have. So we're looking forward to working together with both cities and getting it done.
Judy?
I can't say any better than what's already been said, but yesterday's event was just, I'm really proud of our community and Commissioner Clark and everyone that contributed and supported Veterans Park.
Thank you, Judy. Coleman, you're up, buddy.
You woke me up, man. Want to thank, man, it was a great event. All the people that donated to this, it was unbelievable. And especially Mark Clark. I mean, having a vision and going from, I don't know, they showed the piece of paper, which I seen that, I think the day he got it, and I'm like, wow. And then all of a sudden, it's actually there physically. So, and Mark, you did a great job, man. And the other thing was Josh Taylor. Oh, my word. It was just, I mean, I heard that even people were crying back there in the back and stuff. So Josh did, it was unbelievable what he did. So thanks a lot, and that's all I got.
Josh could hold a note. That was good. Mark Clark.
Well, I know there's been a lot of kudos and everything about me, but I will tell you, this thing was a team effort, and it started with the committee that we put together. And there again, like I said yesterday, you can't by name everybody. If you do, we'd have been there all day. So if the people know who they are, they just know it's a thank you from the bottom of my heart, and the committee and the staff, and just it's on and on. The people who donated, the in-kind, the monetary, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So I appreciate everybody's thank yous on it, but it really was a big team effort, and that goes across the board. I would like to say real quick, I know we say things up here and we kind of get behind. There was a road intersection that I think we discussed with the city manager. we ever gonna get that meeting before this craziness goes on out here? I know we wanted to, I don't know if we're ever going to. With
Stoplights?
DOT, FDOT for the intersection?
We will work on that.
Okay, so that, I don't want to forget that. We really have got to put our 2 cents into this. If not, we're getting something that's absolutely crazy in this town. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I just love to have the conversation to see why and why not. And the LDRs, I know we are absolutely always talking about them, and they're 2 years out, but the LDR for housing, if we don't do nothing else, we've got to have a meeting, we got to do something for this, because that's what's going to change the dynamics of this town. If we can do some things quickly, some of these people will leave. So that's just where I'm at with the national builders. We need to get on board with this. We need to get this LDR in front of, if it's the only thing we change with some of these other ordinances, that's number one, and that's what we need to do. So I don't know, I think there's more discussion with the city manager, the mayor, and Stacy. Let's get this, I don't know how we do it, but I think it can be done, even if we got to work overtime, that's what we're paid for. So, and other than that, I appreciate everybody that give us everything. Like I said, yesterday, it was a beautiful day. Couldn't ask for a better day, and other than that, God bless our troops and God bless America.
Nice. Monty?
Yeah, yesterday was a spectacular event, and it was, I really enjoyed it, and I was really impressed with the band, man. They were awesome. And Josh Taylor, he brought a tear to my eye. And I was waiting for the Blue Angels to fly over. I kept looking up because I was sure they'd coming, because we had the Rolling Thunder there. But it was awesome, and I know, Mark, you don't want to take credit or anything, but you were one that really were the head of it, and you started it all, and you and Debbie and the rest of that group. I mean, you guys all did a fantastic job, and the community really appreciates it. The other thing I was thinking regarding code enforcement, and somewhere, somehow, it has become a idea that the city code enforcement officers should only enforce codes that somebody complains about. And I don't think that we should be going that way. I think that if he or she sees something that's incorrect, they should go ahead and enforce the code. We have ordinances for a reason. They're the law of the city, and they should be enforced. They should not require a phone call from a citizen to be enforced. I kind of think it makes me think of a police officer that sees a crime but doesn't do anything because no one's called it in yet. So that's just my thought on that thing. But other than that, Dallas, you're fired from your position as city manager. We got to keep you on as
that means I get 20 weeks of severance, so I appreciate that.
Now you got to keep on as a financial director, so you don't get off that easy. But that's pretty much it, and that's all. Thank you.
All right, Donald Long.
All right, this weekend was a great weekend, and we started off Friday with our Newberry Pride initiative to celebrate our youth for going to district. Big shout out to David Wallace for putting that together and the team for helping with that. Also, Mark, in the end with Monday, that was just a great thing. You know, to celebrate our troops and our youth is a great thing in this community. When I ran to run for commission, I heard a lot of time about people saying that the community need to stay small. Well, what we showed this weekend is what a community really about, but people coming together to celebrate each other. The youth and the veterans and just everybody in this community tying together, putting in their work, pulling in their weight to come together. That's what a small town community is. It's not about the size, it's about how people come together. So that was a good representation this weekend. Great job with your committee. And Dallas, you did great, man. You know, you got that Publix and you can turn the keys over to the shop.
Oh, man, he took it from me, Marlo.
Yeah, so, but other than that, man, just a great weekend.
Good deal. All right, I got a couple things. First things, track line. I didn't make that meeting. I was out. My father-in-law passed away. My wife's father passed away. He was in the military for 27 years. So I was hoping that he would have stayed alive to see that. That was my whole point. And so that is a huge thing that the city put on this event. Growing up, they had like Memorial Day events, small things, flags where there was little small parades. And so to see that Mark Clark's drawing came to reality, it was a huge thing. And it's for the city of Newberry. That was a great thing. So kudos to that and my being absent. Now, with that being said, track line. I wasn't here to give my input on that. Our staff does a phenomenal job. I'll keep it at that. Very emphatic about it. It's probably a good thing I wasn't here. Good job, Stacy. Good job to our staff. And I totally back our commission up for the decision that they made with that individual. We'll leave it at that. North Fleets. So I do want to make this public. I commend you guys. You guys are you're different from the international builders. You hire local. You do. I drive this city in the UPS truck and I see it all. And I'll be honest, when I ask questions for the soil. But one thing I want to let you guys know is you hire local and you stay local. And you make sure of that. Unlike Trackline. That's the last thing I'll say about them. But you guys do. You guys do, seriously. You guys do hire local. You hire local and you mean well. So I do want to give you guys your props on that. Thank you very much for staying and keeping it local. Thank you. Another thing that got brought up in the BOCC was the 235 initiative. They brought up 235A. I can't remember. Yes, I do. Let me stop lying. It was King Carnell. He said that Southwest 15th Ave, as subdivisions come in, let them pave that road. A horrible chip seal road. I think you made that comment. So I will say this. And then someone else came up and said State Road 235A, which is the road that leads up to Alachua. Well, how many businesses are up there? Cisco, Walmart. Between those, 4 or 5 businesses, that whole road should have been paved by now, if that's the case. I'll leave it at that. Now, not with that being said, we'll do the dad joke, okay? This one's for you. I love that tie, by the way. Very different there. So what do you call a priest that's going to be a lawyer? A priest that is going to be a lawyer. A father-in-law. And with that being said, this meeting is adjourned.
I got one more for you.
What you got?
You were gonna let you. Before the meeting, you said mind your P's and Q's.
Yes, I did.
What does that mean? Where does that come from and what does it mean?
What does that mean?
Anybody?
This is good knowledge.
If Janine was here, she would say. Mind your pints and corpus. It's from drinking in England.
Oh, man, no, man.
Nice. All right. I like that. With that being said, meeting is adjourned.